let's take a look at some charts on Stellar from this week's article on Brave New Coin. So if you know nothing about Stellar, it's basically XRP with the same founder, or one of the same founders as XRP, Jed McCaleb. Jed McCaleb has a ton of XRP from when he worked at XRP, founded XRP, that he is continuing to sell. XRP in the orange here, XLM in the purple here. So in general, they move hand in hand. They're very similar networks. They operate in similar fashions. They're compared a lot. They're both 100% pre-mines. One of them decided to have an escrow XRP for 50% of their coins, whereas Stellar just said, we're going to burn 50% of our coins. So their market caps both moved up substantially over the past few weeks. If we just look at the rich list, I always just like to look at, who are the whales, who's holding what, how much is on the exchanges. You can see most of the whales here are Stellar Development Foundation related. And there's the first exchange wallet, Binance Cold Storage. Binance holds around 4% of the circulating supply for Stellar. So there's quite a bit between the cold and hot storage sitting on Binance, SDF, and then Network Upgrade. So most of these are Stellar owned wallets. And if we look at since 2016, if we look at total supply and asset holders, both are moving up more modestly recently. But they've tried, similar to Ripple, they've tried giving this stuff away to as many people as they could. And the reason they burned half the supply is because they were unable, or it just took too much time to give as much away as they did. So they said, we're just going to burn 55 billion tokens or whatever it is, say the number one count here, 55 billion tokens is the burn account. And that will forever be the richest wallet most likely on the network. If we compare head-to-head Ripple and Stellar, Ripple leads in market cap, total daily transaction volume, total daily fees, transactions per day, whereas Stellar leads in active addresses and GitHub commits. From what I can gather, Stellar's going for more of a DEX for the people by the people decentralized thing, whereas Ripple's going for more of a business interbank ledger intermediary system thing. But at the end of the day, both of them could do what each other does, and both of them could be stablecoins or replaced by stablecoins, really, at the end of the day. If we look at transaction fees on Ripple and Stellar, they're about even now. For the most part, Stellar has been cheaper than Ripple over the past few years, but looks like Stellar has caught up to Ripple as far as mean transaction fees, and these are essentially free. I mean, they're not actually free, but they are the cheapest, among the cheapest chains with a substantial amount of transactions that has a fee attached to it. So it's not like EOS or Tron where there's no fees, but it's basically free. If you look at transaction counts and average transaction sizes, you can see where the burn was here in late 2019 when that average transaction size ballooned astronomically. And if we look at transaction counts, recently they peaked back up to an all-time high or near all-time highs. So this makes sense because the Ripple price exploded. So most of this is speculation. This isn't necessarily organic use of the network magically all of a sudden. Most of this is just prices up, new people coming on board. I'll show the Google Trends in a second, but those have exploded as well. So there's a flurry of market activity when price starts increasing. If you look at active addresses in the fill here and NVT, inverse metric of economic utility, you can see that NVT is holding near all-time lows. This was the coin burn, so you can't really count that as real because they moved more than half the total supply of tokens. So overall, there's been a clear downtrend here. It's sitting near all-time lows. It's been rising over the past few weeks, but for Stellar, it's sitting in a good spot. And active addresses have declined since January 2019, so not something that is bullish for sure. You want to see that rising week over week, month over month. So if I was actually bullish Stellar, I would want to see the active addresses rising like they were in 2017, 2018. If we look at Google Trends as a whole, since late 2017, January 2019, nothing has matched or surpassed that. But if we look at the past 2 years, there's clearly been a breakout in Google Trends over the past few days, again because of price. All right, let's look at technicals, 50, 200 EMAs, VPVR, yearly pivots, and RSI. On Poloniex, Stellar is STR. In case you're trying to pull this exact chart up, it's STR USDT on Poloniex as opposed to XLM USDT anywhere else. So if we look at the trend metrics, it was bearish from basically mid-2018 until earlier this year. It finally got this bull cross and it kind of slunked along. It actually looked like it was headed for a head and shoulders here, shoulder, head, shoulder, and it looked like it was about to go lower. Had it not been for that ripple move, it probably would have. So it broke above 2 yearly pivots, almost 3, tapped the R2 and got denied there. I don't see this having like continued strength for the next few weeks. It's probably going to need to relax. Anybody who's been in over the past 2 years is probably going to want to sell here. Anytime you get multi-year declines and then a week's worth of price movement just deleting all of that, people are going to come back to the coin and say, all right, do I have any? Do I want to sell here? Do I want to buy here? So all of this comes with the increase in on-chain activity and Google Trends. You can see there's not really much historical volume on the way up here. The next level is around 25 cents, 23 cents. And that's basically this consolidation period here. So even if it survives 12 to 20 cents without a massive retrace, it's going to reconsolidate like it did in 2018 around 25, 30 cents. So for me, unless there's substantial evidence that this is going to increase in trend, I don't really see a trade here. There was a breakout trade here just based on Ripple, I guess. I mean, you could argue there was an inverted head and shoulders here, shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, shoulder. Similar to here, you know, there was an inverted head and shoulders here, broke down, triangle here, broke down. So it finally consolidated and broke up, but it's hard to, for me, technically, there wasn't much evidence for that other than this 5200 cross and basically just following Ripple. So I like 25 to 30 cents in the near term, support around 12 cents, and then bigger support around 8 cents, but I don't think it'll actually get back to 8 cents unless BTC goes back to like 12, 15K, something like that. If we look at the 2-day cloud, it becomes even more clear just how strong this bullish continuation period has been over the past year. So for 2 years, it just held below the cloud, you know, tested the cloud, denied, tested the cloud, denied, tested the cloud, denied. Had the Kumo breakout a few months ago. It was kind of muted, but it was there, and reconsolidated in the cloud, and there's your Kumo breakout again for your additional long entry signal. So the entry was around 8 cents. There's support around 8 cents. This is going to need a lot of time to figure itself out again as far as where support stands based on these settings for the 2-day cloud. I like to look at stuff way zoomed out on alts sometimes if there's data for it, because it just becomes obvious. You know, this is pretty clear. It's below the cloud. It's above the cloud. It's a completely different coin when it's above the cloud compared to below. If we look at the weekly Stellar BTC chart, there was this Adam and Eve Wyckoffean accumulation thing that actually broke down, never broke up, even though it had a bullish TK cross. So now it's projecting edge-to-edge possibilities, just as it did here, but the trade doesn't begin until price is inside of the cloud. So that might happen around 900, might happen around 800. If it happens into 2021, might happen around 600. But if it does happen, the probability that this reaches for the other edge of the cloud becomes extremely high and likely. So that's something to watch for in the next few months on that pair, definitely. And then looking at the daily chart, it is above the cloud, above the 200, above all of this VPVR historic volume, you know, all above all this 2016 consolidation, 2017 consolidation, 2019 consolidation. It's above all that now. So if this can hold above 900 sats, let's say, I think it has a decent shot at 15. And then from there, it's a question of, is this going to be one of these just straight up moves that historically has happened? Like 15 to 40 or something. You know, this consolidation period will act as a magnet for people looking at the chart. They're going to ignore this. They're just going to say, oh, it consolidated up here. That's probably where it's going. Around 37, around 40, or 4K sats. That's a big if, but it's certainly possible. You know, if we get this edge-to-edge trade, we're talking a 2x from 1K sats to 2K sats, basically. You could probably squeeze a little more out of that, like 800 to 2600. Maybe a 3x move. But 2600 on the daily chart doesn't really match up with anything other than the 2017 local high. So I don't know, we'll see how this looks if it continues, if this is actually a trade here, trade setup. But that would be the trade I'd want to take, is this 800, 900 sats to 25, 2600 sats, something like that. Because typically, historically, again, these up moves happen for Stellar extremely quickly, similar to Ripple. Just like exactly what just happened over the past week. It goes from a dead coin to where do I buy this coin to why did I buy this coin for a lot of people that FOMO into it. So overall, fundamentals for Stellar are okay. They're not great. Lots of new people coming in because the price. Technicals look the best they've looked in probably 2 years. And if this consolidation can hold, I think there's a decent shot at some nice trade setups over the next few months on the bullish side here.